Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is the end of May, which marks exactly 1 year since I started this channel on YouTube, and I just wanted to do a quick little review, recap and reminisce of everything that's happened on this channel, discussing the ups and the downs, the milestones, big moments for the channel, and where I want to take things in the future. So let's begin with the key moments for this channel. We began this channel back on Instagram a little while before the YouTube as just kind of a place to share some pictures of the miniatures I was painting from the Dark Souls board game, because I was quite happy with them. I was new to painting and I was enjoying the process, and slowly but surely people seemed quite interested and engaged with what we were posting over there, and we had some good success on the Instagram, and it was from there that my partner thought it would be a good idea to transition to YouTube, where we could start doing some long form content. Hello and welcome to this first edition of Painting the Characters from the Dark Souls universe. I do want to stress that my girlfriend is a social media genius and really understands the medium and the strategy and marketing of it all, so she is one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, the channel is where it is. Our goal in setting up the YouTube was to be monetized within 2 years and sort of review our current status after that. However, in the second month of the channel starting, the collection video dropped, and YouTube, for whatever reason it did, decided to shove it right up the algorithm, and it kind of snowballed from there, and we were monetized within a week after that, so we were well ahead of our 2-year schedule, and that in itself came with its ups and its downs, which I'll discuss later on. But yeah, that one video was a real key moment for the channel and brought in thousands of subscribers and hundreds and thousands of views. And what you need to be monetized is you need to hit the 4,000 hours watched and 1,000 subscribers mark within 12 months, and we did that so quickly in the sort of like big picture of YouTube. So that was a pretty crazy month. The next thing was hitting 10,000 subscribers, and in the grand scheme of YouTube channels, it's nothing extraordinary, but for us it was a big moment for us to hit that 10k, because we did it in our 5th month, I think, which was pretty awesome, and my girlfriend decided to make a really cute cake to surprise me with, and that was really sweet, and that was really wholesome.
Okay, you can open your eyes.
The next milestone we hit was 1 million views on the channel. That was overall views, and I think we hit that at the beginning of the year, and I genuinely never thought I would see that number, especially in our first year of doing this. So that was pretty cool. And another key moment, shortly after the 1 million view mark was hit, we were approached by a company to do our first brand deal, which was, super exciting. It's what you see loads of big YouTubers doing, so it felt like we were doing something right. But seeing as how the channel was still quite new, and we've got a really nice core audience, it didn't feel right at the time. I won't say the name of the company or the product, but it was basically to advertise one of those sort of usual mobile game adverts you see everywhere. And it just seemed too soon to be pushing out that kind of stuff on the channel, especially since you guys are with me in these early stages. And though the money helps, and essentially brand deals is how YouTubers make most of their money, as AdSense is quite variable. We did, however, decide to turn down the offer, and that's not to say that we won't ever do brand deals in the future, but we decided it was too early to be doing that kind of thing. So we decided that, when it feels like a more appropriate time in the future, that we'll probably do that kind of thing. So those were like the key moments of the past year, and I just want to sort of move on and discuss the sort of highlights of the year. So the main shock of everything was the collection video doing as well as it did and seeing the numbers skyrocket, especially for such an early channel. It was super exciting but incredibly anxiety inducing. I was in the office at work and I started seeing the numbers going up and up and up, and every time I refreshed the YouTube Studio app there'd be like another 5,000 views, there would be another 100 subscribers, and obviously these numbers were just completely alien to me, so I was really freaking out in the office and I didn't get any work done that day. But yeah, it was both really great and scary at the same time, because it was getting exposure the likes of which I've never seen, and it welcomed in a whole bunch of new subscribers and comments, both really supportive and very negative, but that's all part and parcel of it. But it was really quite the experience for sure. Recently, within the past few months, we did an interview for the Published Press, which is the newsletter that Colin and Samir do. and they were doing an article on faceless creators, which we did an interview on, and we discussed all things about the sort of positives and negatives about not having your face in your videos, and it was really cool, especially since my partner and I, we listen and watch Colin Smear every week, so yeah, that was a really cool experience to do. So this was my favourite one. Last year in the summer, I received a notification on Instagram saying, Jacksepticeye just followed you and has sent you a DM. And I kind of sat there and I stared at that notification for a good 5 minutes before registering it. I was pretty taken back by that, but basically he said that he'd really sort of loved the models on my Instagram page, and he thought that From Software had finally started selling models and realised that actually no, it was me just printing and painting them. And he said he really loved them, and would I be able to print him his favourite character, which is Lady Maria from Bloodborne, which I did. I printed it, I painted it, and sent it off to him. And, you know, the video is up on the channel if you want to check it out. But that kind of validation from a creator that you really admire meant an incredible deal. Like, that was a huge boost for me for that to happen. So that was really cool. Speaking of validation from others, the amount of support and recurring viewers I see commenting on this channel and engaging and sending me DMs on Instagram is often overwhelming at times, but it is truly amazing, and I just want to thank all of you who tune in every week. It really does mean an awful lot to me. So there's not really many negatives to take away from the whole thing, as I really do enjoy what I do, but there are some things that I think are important to share about doing this kind of stuff. And going back once again to the collection video, you know, when it was blowing up, I was thinking to myself, wow, I've sussed YouTube, you know, I guess it's smooth sailing from here. That was actually pretty easy. I don't know what everyone's so worried about. But, you know, my partner, who I said is like incredible with social media before, she always spoke about pushing the rock up the hill. And with YouTube, it's a very long hill. Once you've reached the peak, you know, the sort of rock rolls itself and it all snowballs from there. And seeing the numbers going up and up and up, and thousands of views by the day and hundreds of subscribers by the day was really awesome. And it was, you know, giving me a lot of serotonin. But literally, as soon as the new year came, it just all stopped dead. Like, just dropped off a cliff and numbers dwindled. And it was quite a shock after the meteoric rise of that video for such a new channel. So although the video was great for the channel early on and the big exposure, the flatline after it and the numbers stopping was a real readjustment for me to sort of realign how I viewed the channel, and it just meant the process of beginning to push the rock back up the hill started again. It was quite a jarring scenario to be in, especially early on in the stage of the channel. The other thing is the quality and consistency required to keep traction on YouTube. Now, it's not a written rule, it's quite an unspoken rule, but with YouTube, you know, you are rewarded with consistency, but you are also very rewarded with quality. You're not going to sit down and watch a bad video on YouTube, regardless of how many times it's put out. But the more you put out, the more you engage with the algorithm and the more chances you have being put out to a wider audience. But the quality has to be good to go along with it. So our goal was to do at least one video a week, and then the odd second video when we did Bloodborne Sundays. So bearing in mind how long it takes to just print and paint one model, you know, that's hours, if not days of work to do. After printing and painting and finishing the model, I then, you know, have to edit the videos and have to edit them to a high standard, make them engaging and fun. I am and have been a professional editor and animator for near on 10 years now, so I always try and keep the editing interesting and engaging with fun effects when I have time to do so, because that's what I do as a job, that's what I really enjoy doing, and I love being creative with the edit. But there are times when I don't have time to do that, and it can be really challenging, especially since I have a job with a production house, you know, editing and animating for clients, and I also am a freelance editor on the side of that, so it's an awful lot of work doing those two jobs plus YouTube on the side for the past year. But that being said, I'm in no way complaining about it, because I choose to do it and I enjoy doing it all, so it's not really much of a downside. But it's really something that I've learned about content creation over the past year, is it is an awful lot of work, especially when you're doing it all yourself. So the past year on YouTube has taught me an awful lot about the medium, content creation, painting, printing, you know, all that stuff, but also about myself, my skills and my limitations. As I mentioned before, you know, I'm an editor and I have been in traditional media for near on a decade, and I've been studying traditional media since I was 16, you know, film, TV, broadcast. But just because you might be really good in the traditional setting does not automatically translate to being a good social media editor. and it's taken many months over the past year for me to be able to try and retrain my brain not to edit with a traditional media brain, but to try and edit with the brain of a content creator. And those two things are very, very different. And I was always editing as a traditional editor. Everything has to be perfect, frame by frame, it all has to be correct, no mistakes, as opposed to just making it fun, engaging, quick, and appealing to a lot of people. And in saying that is the next main thing, which is short form content, and that is that short form is just as important as the long form. And my partner was always, from day one, badgering me to make reels and shorts, TikToks, etc. And I did, but I hated doing it. I never cared for it, as it felt kind of pointless, as the main drive is long form. I was always like, well, if I'm doing YouTube, why do I need to put as much effort into doing Instagram and shorts on YouTube and TikTok? Because that's not what I want to be doing. I want to be doing the YouTube stuff. That's sort of the wrong way of looking at things. Your short form is basically like, it's like your trailer for your long form. It's what is enticing people into watching what you do as a main thing, and the main thing is the long form. It took a while for me to slowly start retraining my brain and to start thinking in short form rather than just long form, and then I started seeing the massive benefits of being, what they call a hybrid creator, which is juggling between both short form and long form. Another point, which is kind of 2 points in itself, is just not take everything so seriously and not hate what I make. Fucked it. Because the whole point of this channel is just being a learning journey for me. I started off as someone who had never ever painted miniatures before. Every week I'm learning new skills and improving on skills that I have and showing what I'm learning as I'm doing it. There's been so many times where I've got really angry and frustrated with myself during filming when things aren't going quite right, or I break something, or it's not looking good. Oh, you're winding me up. But I have to keep reminding myself that every video is a bookmark in learning and developing new skills. For instance, there's been a lot of firsts on this channel, like with Father Ariandel. I think this model sucks now, but I leave it up on the channel because it was the first time I ever wet blended and used a wet palette. Yorm and the Twin Princes, these were the first 2 times I ever used an airbrush, and I look at them now and I think, Jesus Christ, they are not good looking effects, but I compare it to a more recent airbrushing and I can see the obvious difference. So each video I do is a bookmark in my process, and painting skin, I never actually painted skin before, so when I did Quelaag, I think, again, that model sucks ass now, but later through the months when I painted Let Me Solar Her, and then Melania, and then finally Marika, I could see the visible progression in the skin painting. So I still have those models up on my shelf and I can see the visible difference between them, which is great. And then finally it's the dioramas. My first ever diorama was the Walking Mausoleum in Limgrave, and at the time I was blown away that I even made that, from absolutely nothing. I'd created this little scene, but as time went on, I started to pick at it and I started noticing consistencies in the scaling, and I just kind of dumped a whole bunch of green on it, same as the Redan festival at the time, which I loved, but I now see many problems with it and so much room for improvement. But I compare it to last week's model, which is Melania versus Redan, and I can see how much I've learnt since then, so it's really cool to see that progression. And other dioramas that I've done, like the pumpkin head on the bridge and Sigurd, where I used a hot wire foam cutter for the first time. I hope that in a year's time I look back at now and I think, wow, I've learned even more, and hopefully they've gotten bigger and better as I've gone on, because I have so many ideas for bigger and better dioramas to do in the future. So yeah, trying not to take everything so serious and just have a bit more fun with things. I still forget and I get caught up in my head and stressed, but I'm still learning. So that's about it when it comes to the past 12 months. All that's left to do is look forward to the next year and beyond and what's in store for the channel. We're definitely looking to diversify the content a bit more and branching out in different things. There's a lot of cool things I think we can do here. I definitely want to add a bit more personality to the channel, having a bit more fun with the process and a bit more fun with the edit, and keep retraining that traditional media brain of mine. On a practical level, I'm looking to try and learn some soldering and to be able to create sort of lighting circuits and LED setups that can go with the dioramas rather than just shoving some fairy lights on a model and calling it a day. I also really enjoyed having my friend Alex on the channel when we did our little video game designer versus a miniature painter, so I think I'll look to have more people appear on the channel as well and having some guest cameos and things. And lastly, we're in talks with a couple of people and we have a really great new series that we're developing. And we're going to try and make it the best that we've ever done. So that's something we're really looking forward to doing, but that's all I'll say on that for now. But yeah, that's about it, guys. That's everything that's happened over the past 12 months. It's been a pretty cool year and I've really loved doing it. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it with me. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming along with me, and I hope you continue to do so as we keep growing and developing the channel. And yeah, we'll see where we are in 12 months' time. And that's about it. So thank you, and I'll see you next week.